Most people remember Patsy Cline for the heartbreak in her voice. She sang like every word had cost her something, like every note had been earned the hard way. To the world, she was the woman who turned pain into music and made it sound beautiful. But there was a night in her life that never made it into an interview, never turned into a song, never left the quiet corners of her own memory. A night when she changed a stranger's life without ever taking credit for it. A night she carried with her until the end. It was the winter of 1961, and the road had begun to feel less like a path and more like a loop. City after city, show after show, motel after motel. The same applause, the same smiles, the same questions, the same ache in her bones. Patsy was tired. Tired in the way that doesn't go away with sleep. Tired in the way that comes from being pulled in too many directions for too long. That night, she was somewhere between shows, riding in the back seat of a car with two of the band members dozing beside her. Snow flecks streaked past the windows, catching the glow of passing streetlights. The driver hummed along to the radio, the heater rattled softly, and Patsy leaned her head against the cold glass, watching the darkness slide by. "Where are we again?" she asked, her voice scratchy with fatigue. "Just outside Lexington," the driver replied. "We'll be in town by morning. You want to stop, get some food?" Her stomach answered before she did. "Yeah," she sighed. "Somewhere quiet." They pulled off the highway a few miles later, into a small Kentucky town that looked like it had been paused in time. The kind of place with a single main street, a gas station, a barber shop, and a diner with a neon sign that buzzed in the cold. The sign read, "Miller's Diner," letters flickering on and off like a tired heartbeat. Inside, the diner was mostly empty. A trucker hunched over a late-night plate at the far end of the counter. A tired man in a suit stirred coffee at a booth near the window, jacket folded beside him. The air smelled like coffee, grease, and something sweet baking in the back. A young waitress looked up as Patsy and the others walked in. She couldn't have been more than 19 or 20. Her hair was pinned up in a hurry, a pencil tucked behind one ear, a smudge of something on her apron, but her eyes were bright in a way that reminded Patsy of someone she used to be. "Sit wherever you like," the girl said, grabbing a stack of menus. "Coffee's fresh. Just made a new pot to stay awake." Patsy smiled, choosing a corner booth. The band members slid in across from her, already talking about the show they'd done earlier, about someone who'd tried to climb on stage, about a promoter who'd tried to short them on pay. Patsy let their words wash over her like noise, not really listening. The waitress poured their coffee, her hands steady even though she looked exhausted. "What can I get y'all?" she asked, pen poised above her little notepad. "Whatever's hot," one of the musicians said. "And a lot of it." Patsy glanced up at the girl and caught the dark circles under her eyes. "You look like you could use a break," Patsy said gently. The girl blinked, surprised, then laughed. "You and me both, ma'am, but the night shift doesn't really do breaks." "Long day?" Patsy asked. "Long year," the girl replied before she could stop herself. Then she straightened, forcing a smile. "Sorry. Just talking. I'll put your orders in." As she walked back toward the kitchen, Patsy watched her. The quick steps, the slightly hunched shoulders, the way she hesitated before opening the swinging door. There was something in that hesitation. Something Patsy recognized deep in her bones. That feeling of standing between what you have to do and what you really want. The trucker left. The man in the suit paid his bill and disappeared into the cold. Soon the only people left in the diner were the band, the girl, and the cook in the back. The food arrived: eggs, bacon, biscuits, and gravy. Steaming and simple, the kind of meal that felt like a blanket. The band dug in, the driver joking about how the coffee could probably clean the windshield if they ran out of wiper fluid. Patsy ate slowly, listening to the clink of plates and the low murmur of the radio playing some distant station. After a while, the others went back out to the car to smoke and stretch their legs. Patsy stayed behind, cradling her coffee. The waitress began wiping tables, humming under her breath a melody that drifted towards Patsy's ears. It wasn't a song from the jukebox. It wasn't something Patsy recognized exactly. But the girl was humming in tune, her pitch sure and soft. "You've got a nice ear," Patsy said. The girl startled slightly, not realizing Patsy was still there. "Oh, sorry, ma'am. I didn't even notice I was doing it." "Don't apologize for music," Patsy replied. "What were you humming?" The girl hesitated, cheeks flushing. "Just something I've been working on. It's nothing." "Sounds like something," Patsy said. "You sing?" The girl looked down at the rag in her hands. "Used to, at church, at school events. I wanted to study music. For real." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Life had other plans. Patsy's heart pulled in on itself. "Life's good at that," she said softly. "What's your name?" "Lena," the girl replied. "Lena Miller." "Miller," Patsy repeated, glancing at the sign on the door. "Family diner?" "Yeah, my folks started it. Dad runs the kitchen now. Mom did too, before she got sick." Lena's voice wavered. "Somebody had to pick up the extra shifts, so here I am." Patsy took a slow sip of her coffee. "And the music?" Lena shrugged. "There's no time. And even if there was, we don't have the money for college. I got accepted to a program in Nashville last year." She let out a short, humorless laugh. "I still have the letter. Tuition might as well be a ticket to the moon." Patsy stared at her. She heard pieces of her own story and Lena's, the push and pull between what you dreamed and what you owed. "Do your folks know you got in?" Patsy asked. Lena nodded. "Dad's proud? Too proud, maybe. He says if something's meant to be, it'll find me, but he also says we can't afford for me to go chasing dreams when we can barely afford Mom's medicine." She swallowed hard. "He's not wrong." Patsy felt something inside her twist. She knew what it meant to choose responsibility over desire, to feel the guilt of wanting more when the people you loved needed you right where you were. "Do you still want it?" Patsy asked quietly. Lena paused. She didn't answer right away. She looked at the floor, at her worn shoes, at the reflection of the neon light in the window. When she finally spoke, her voice was small and honest. "Every day," she whispered. "I want it every single day." The cook stuck his head through the kitchen window. "Lena, we're about to close up. Wipe down the counter and lock that front door when they're gone." "Yes, sir," she called back. Patsy finished her coffee and stood up, leaving some bills tucked under the saucer. She walked toward the door, but something in her stopped. She turned back. "Lena," she called. "Yes, ma'am." Patsy took a small card from her purse, feeling the edges between her fingers. It was one of her own. Name, a contact number for her booking agent, a small printed logo. She held it out. "Take this." Lena approached confused. You're Patsy Cline," she said, the realization finally catching up to her. She'd known the face, the voice, the presence, but the name on the card made it real. Patsy smiled gently. "I am, and I don't usually do this. But I want you to promise me something." Lena stared at the card like it was made of glass. "Oh, okay." "Don't throw that letter away," Patsy said. "The one from the school. Keep it, somewhere you can see it, somewhere it can bother you." Lena let out a shaky laugh. "It already bothers me." "Good," Patsy replied. "Dreams should bother you when you ignore them." Lena blinked back tears. "I'm serious, Lena," Patsy continued. "Don't give up on it, not completely. Leave a door open, even a crack. You never know who might walk through it." Lena nodded, clutching the card to her chest. "Thank you," she whispered. I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," Patsy said. "Just keep singing, even if it's only when you're wiping down tables in an empty diner." Patsy stepped out into the cold, the bell above the door jangling softly behind her. The sky was still dark, but there was a faint hint of dawn at the horizon. She walked back to the car, climbed in, and closed her eyes as the engine started. As they pulled away, she thought of Lena standing under the dull diner lights, holding on to a future she couldn't afford. The next afternoon, in her motel room, Patsy sat on the edge of the bed with a notepad in her hand. The television played quietly in the background, some daytime program she wasn't really listening to. She wrote down the name she couldn't stop thinking about. Lena Miller, Miller's Diner, small town outside Lexington. She stared at the words. Then she picked up the phone. "Operator," she said, "get me the registrar's office at the Nashville Music College." "Yes, that one." A few clicks, a brief wait, and then a woman answered on the other end. "Hello, this is the registrar. How can I help you?" Patsy cleared her throat. "I need to ask you about a student who was accepted but didn't enroll. Name's Lena Miller, from Kentucky." "Let me see." Papers shuffled, keys clacked. "Yes, Lena Miller, accepted last year. Didn't register. Financial reason noted." Patsy took a slow breath. If, hypothetically, someone wanted to cover that cost anonymously, would that be possible? The registrar paused. "It would be unusual, but not impossible. We have scholarship channels. It could be processed through that." "No names?" Patsy asked. "Not mine. Not to her family. No one." "We can arrange it as a private scholarship award," the woman replied. "Are you sure you want to do this, ma'am? It's not a small amount." Patsy looked around her motel room. At the open suitcase, the worn boots, the stack of show schedules. She thought of the little house her family lived in back in Winchester, the bills she still had to pay, the things she still worried about. "I'm sure," she said quietly. "Set it up. I'll send what you need." Over the next few weeks, between shows, she signed checks, filled out forms, and sent them off, all marked with the same instruction: anonymous. When the college confirmed the scholarship was applied, Patsy folded the letter carefully and tucked it into her suitcase beneath her stage outfits. She never told her husband. She never told her band. She never mentioned it to her mother or her friends. Life rushed on. Patsy kept touring. She kept singing songs that tore people open. She laughed in dressing rooms, argued with producers, hugged fans who cried when they met her. She fought through pain, through car accidents, through fear. The world saw the records, the dresses, the magazine covers. They didn't see the quiet satisfaction on her face one night in another motel room when she wondered, just for a moment, if Lena had gotten the letter. Somewhere in Kentucky, a white envelope arrived at Miller's Diner, addressed not to the diner, but to Lena herself. Her father handed it to her over the counter. "What's this?" he asked. "I don't know," she said, opening it with careful fingers. She read silently, eyes widening. "Daddy," she whispered, voice shaking. They gave me a scholarship." Her father stared at her. "What?" "The music school in Nashville. They said..." She swallowed. "They said a private donor funded it. Fully. All I have to do is accept." Her father looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time in years. Not as a waitress, not as a helper, but as a daughter with a road opening up in front of her. He covered his mouth with his hand, fighting emotion. "Well," he finally said, I guess sometimes things are meant to be after all." Lena cried into his chest, the letter crumpled between them. She never knew who made that promise come true. She never connected it to the tired woman in the corner booth with the warm eyes and the quiet questions. But years later, standing on a small stage in Nashville, guitar in hand, about to open for another act, she remembered that night in the diner. She remembered the stranger who told her not to give up, and as she began to sing, there was a trace of Patsy's courage in her voice. Back on the road in 1963, a few months before the airplane crash that would end her life, Patsy sat alone in yet another motel room, combing through her thoughts. She wondered where Lena was now, whether she'd made it to Nashville, whether she'd ever found her way to a stage of her own. She smiled softly, talking to no one. "I hope you're out there, girl," she murmured. "I hope you're raising some kind of beautiful hell." The world would never know that one of the fiercest, most iconic voices in country music quietly made sure a stranger's dream didn't die in a small-town diner. The gesture never made the headlines. It never became part of her public image. But it was part of her truth. And somewhere, in the echoes of every song she sang about broken hearts and second chances, if you listened closely enough, you might just hear the faint ghost of a promise she once made to a young waitress with tired eyes and a dream too big for the four walls of a family diner.